And hello, once again, it's the Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, coming to you from a planetary cosmos far, far away, known as pop culture. But I'm here with my good friends. Let's start off with our, shall I say, the host, the hostess, the co-hostess, the hostess with
Co-hostess,
the.
co-hostess with the mostest. I
I,
like that.
I know you were going to say that for the show I just nicknamed the Triple W. It's Wine, Women, and Words, one of the best podcasts out there dealing with the literary world. If you are interested, please head over to the Wine, Women, and Words podcast, available now on YouTube and soon to be available in a whole bunch of other different fashions, audio-wise. But it's Diana Tierney. How are you?
I am doing very well. How are you today?
I am well. I'm primed. We're coming into the holiday season, so this is my favorite time of the year. Yes, for all the Christmas reasons and Thanksgiving reasons, of course, and family and friends gathering together. But for me, also as well, I'm a Black Friday dude. I love Black Friday. It's kind of like my second holiday. For me, it's just I love all the deals that goes out. I love all the interest that's in certain deals going in and out. So this month, especially, is my time of year as far as me gauging an interest in what people are looking at and what people are interested in, and also what the retailers are gearing up to have for specials this coming year. So I'm really looking forward to it. And also, I have here, let's at least, not forget one of the most respected authors in the business today. He is the author of Vendetta Dark, which is now available on Amazon.com, and also the upcoming Congratulations, You Suck. It's Josh Peterson. How are you,
Hey,
Josh?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. You're making me blush here.
Well, I'm trying to come up with a better and better promo for it each and every week. And before we go into our topics, I'm going to start off with my plugs, but it's going to be a quick plugs for now. I want to send, first of all, a shout out. Thank you so much for allowing us again each and every week, Monday nights on the Podcast Radio Network. We truly appreciate you thousands of you out there that are just so interested and so big a part of the pop culture cosmos. We truly appreciate it. We also want to thank the people at the Tangent Bound Network. That Tangent Bound family has been great to us. Great responses from them as well. And the ESO Network. We want to say thank you for allowing us to being on the ESO Network. We are just so privileged to be on your network as well. Just recently added on there, and we're just glad to be a part of the ESO Network team. And as far as if you have not been able to get a chance to hear us on those outlets, we're also on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, podcast.com, and of course, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So with all that said and done, we're coming up right now on a big weekend. We're actually right in the middle of it as we speak. So Doctor Strange has come out, and after all the rhetoric and all the hoopla and all the controversy and all where does this fit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has come, and all the stuff that I wrote about on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and all the stuff that you wrote about too, Josh, on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and also what you, Diana, has talked about on our previous podcast. Josh, you have actually seen the movie, and Diana and I are envious of you at this moment. So without going into spoilers, or else you're going to hear me say, la la, la la, la la, la, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. So without me going into that, tell us, what were your thoughts on Doctor Strange?
I loved it. I liked it for the fact that, they were right. It doesn't fit into the Marvel universe, at least not until like the end credit scene. But it was like Ant-Man. It could stand completely on its own. You didn't have to have any backstory. It wasn't like caught up in all of the events of like the Avengers or Iron Man, all those other films. You could watch it without having seen any of those things, and it would have been, and it's still an enjoyable movie. It took all the greatest stuff about the comic books, and it was all there for you, simplified.
Diana, did you have a question for Josh?
Um, no, I don't. I think that's really cool that it's, can stand on its own. How are the special effects in it though?
The special effects are good. They would be a nightmare for anyone who had to put them together, but it was a visual feast. It was like watching Inception, but it was better.
So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to ask, because there's been, since the first commercials came out, there's been such a similarity contest between Doctor Strange and also Inception. You've talked about that there's are differences within it, but they used to seemingly on the surface use the same technology. Tell us what exactly is so different about Doctor Strange, and how does it take it to that next level than what Inception did?
Honestly, it's different concepts, different parts of the story, doing all different moving pieces. Because in Inception, it's more of a dream world, and a lot of it was done with like practically, so all like the spinning rooms and all that stuff. But with this one, it's more. I don't want. I can get into like the technical stuff. A lot of rotoscoping, which is kind of taking people and moving them along, like the special feature, not the special features, but the special effects. They pre-render them and put the people in them. But this is a lot different. Like, you didn't have, instead of having like they really just did a lot of like certain parts of buildings like moving, because when they show all that stuff moving together, it takes place in a different universe. So Inception did it in a dream world. Doctor Strange does it in essentially a different plane of existence.
Now, when we're talking about Doctor Strange, one has to go into pretty much a lot of detail in regards to the characters, some of which were thought of in a controversial fashion because they were not represented exactly 100% with the comic books. And you and I have spoken into great detail in regards in past discussions, both available on the Game Source and the Pop Culture Cosmos podcast, regarding maybe Marvel going in different directions as far as choices of ethnicity or things of that nature. Tell us, were these good choices? Were these well done as far as the execution end is concerned? Tell us in detail about the other characters in the story that may or may not have fit the mold to a T in this comic book venture.
Well, you have the Ancient One, and you have Mordo, and this, with all the mysticism stuff. Naturally, these characters are all started out, Asian, but it's honestly, I didn't care. Like, I liked it. They played the part. I think if the actors can handle the roles really well, then it's not really a huge problem for me. But like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought they played the parts really well, and there's a lot of great chemistry among the cast, and it was great.
So is there anything about Doctor Strange that you see might be a roadblock for the MCU in the future, as far as, because I get the feeling from a lot of people that the movie itself was a very strong representation as far as an origin story is concerned, but it's something that may not be a chain of movies in and of itself, and that may have Doctor Strange be a part of just other movies going forward. Is that something that you see happening, or do you still see Doctor Strange being played out over the course of 2-3 movies?
See, it's hard for me to answer that question without getting into spoilers, but there's not, Doctor Strange is a weird comic book in the sense that there's not really a lot of meat to it. Like, Doctor Strange is cool because he can coincide with all of the other Marvel heroes, and it's not like that big a deal. You're like, there's they have the Avengers, Illuminati, and just the West Coast Avengers, the new Avengers. Like, he just appears at these times when they need him, and he's just, it flows so well. So yeah, he can keep doing his own standalone movies, because obviously Dormammu is a huge baddie, but I don't see a problem. I mean, I don't see them not being able to carry on another movie. You might not have like the explosions and a lot of the action sequences that movies like Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America has, but it has an interesting story. And make sure you stay for the end credit scenes, and you'll see that your own question will be answered.
Fair enough on that. As far as Diana, did you want to chime in with any of your thoughts on it? Did you have any questions now? Maybe some maybe a different take on for Josh on what his thoughts on the movie are.
Um, Not particularly. He seems to answer a lot of it, and I feel like I need to watch the movie itself. And I'm not as familiar with the comics as you guys are, so I think I need to watch the movie first before I have more questions and comments and things. Because I am really curious about Rachel McAdams' character. I mean, how she stacks up with the other females within the Marvel universe, like with Jane and stuff. But that's my own little feminist corner of the market, I guess you could say.
Well, that's actually a good point, because often that type of character, and correct me if I'm wrong, Diana, but that type of character in previous films, or even this film, could have been treated as, for lack of a better term, a quote unquote throwaway type character, as far
Yeah,
as
she can
that's
be
concerned.
reactionary, fully reactionary to him, or she can be standalone and have her own kind of ideals when it comes to what she wants and things. So I'm really curious how they're going to portray that.
Exactly, and that's what I'm hoping for as well. Some what you were talking about too, Josh, about having as far as a real meat in all of the characters, as far as a fleshed out backstory and things of that nature to them, and something going forward that we can look forward to, and they're just not okay. They're there as a plot device and nothing more. What about Rachel McAdams' character in the movie? Because that, like I said, that's something that in many movies prior has something been something of, that's either done really, really well and is vital going forward, or something that was just, a character that's just, not very important to the story going forward.
She was a vital part of the plot. Like without her character, they wouldn't have been able to move the story in the direction that it did.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear.
What I really liked about it was that, most of the women in the Marvel universe, they're sex objects. A lot of them are treated as sex objects, and that's Rachel McAdams. She was strong. Like, she wasn't a sex object. They alluded to like a past romance with her and Benedict Cumberbatch, but there wasn't any, like, he wasn't pursuing her or anything. She wasn't wearing like tight clothing. She was her own person, and that was kind of cool to see that happen.
As far as Wong's character, as you and I go well into that previously, as far as Wong and what he was portrayed at initially within the comic book universe of Doctor Strange, how was he portrayed at here, and do you think it was a strong and viable character going forward?
Oh, Wong was hilarious. I don't know if you ever saw Marco Polo on Netflix. Wong is played by Genghis Kublai Khan. So it was weird seeing him in a different setting than,
But his real last name is Wong.
Yes, so. Correct. But he was funny. Like, he was though they didn't try to make him that way, he was the comedic relief, whether he liked it or not. He was a really funny character.
But is he viable enough to going forward to become, because the Wong in the comic book series, to the best of my knowledge, became more than what he was originally set out to be, and became an equal, an ally, even through bitter struggles and a bitter death, comic book spoilers, sorry, but being generalistic, not movie stories, just comic book story, but through a better death may have became an equal, first they were friends, then it became a situation where they were enemies, but then it became a situation where they were aligned again. Is that something that you could see going forward from the movie that you think might be portrayed in a favorable fashion?
Yeah, I mean, what I always liked about Doctor Strange and Wong is that they kind of remind me of the relationship between Batman and Nightwing. So they'll they have that partnership there, but they're occasionally enemies they occasionally hate each other. Not enemies, but they don't like each other. Wong in Doctor Strange, he's a strong character, and they totally set him up to go the direction the comic books do.
Without going too much into spoilers, I know a lot has been said before this movie has come out regarding the villain, and as we talked about Mads Mikkelsen, him being so cool and so hot right now as an actor, that he's in a Marvel movie, and then the next month a Star Wars movie, that he's probably pretty much the only actor to be doing that. So does he break the mold of Marvel villains, or is it something still set up to basically, since it is an origin story, maybe just to still be there just as a device for strengthening the core cast of characters?
Geez, it's really hard to answer that question without spoiling things for you.
Well, but it's a generalist opinion without going into why he's a because that's something that has been talked about at nauseum, is regarding the weakness of, and it's something Diana and I talked about, and something you and I have talked about in previous podcasts, in regarding to the Marvel Cinematic Universe villains not being where they need to be as compared to their comic book counterparts. Was this something that you could have seen improved upon, per se?
Honestly, like Doctor Strange, like when you think of Doctor Strange comic books, you think of Dormammu, you think of the giant, otherworldly, villainous scum that's just waiting out inside another dimension to come into Earth and destroy everything. So Mads Mikkelsen, his character basically is nothing more than a plot device, and that was the only thing that really disappointed me about this movie, was Mads Mikkelsen's character. But I won't say any more.
So basically, it's done pretty much what many of the others have done, which is not to say it's even the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. On the list that I put out, and I'm sure on both your lists, that they've been accused of doing. I mean, there's been very few examples, in my opinion, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe villains being something that they'll stand out, that are really just like, whoa, they're going to have to, really develop, and they did develop those villains. So, seeing that, I'm not surprised, because, how much can you do within a 2-hour time frame? That's totally understandable. But I think I want to go into the biggest question of all. As an origin story, where does this rank as compared to the Thor, the Captain America, the Iron Man, even the Guardians of the Galaxy origin stories, as far as Ant-Man, as far as that's concerned? Hulk, sorry. Am I forgetting anyone else? I don't think I am.
No, I would rank it in the top 3, honestly. Like, if I had to rank them, it'd be Iron Man, and then it would be Doctor Strange, and then I have to stick with Ant-Man. It's always going to be one of my favorites.
Fair enough. That's high praise indeed. And the other thing I heard from 2 little sources, from 2 daughters that have seen it ahead of their dad, it is a visual feast, like you said previously. Is it something that people need to see it in 3D, or is it okay to see it in a 2D fashion?
Oh, geez. If I would have seen that movie in 3D, I probably would have come out of the theater throwing up. So,
good to know.
Just at your own risk is all I'm saying.
Fair enough. It's a VR. What if that was in VR? Check that out. Jeez. Check that out. Put that on a PlayStation VR and see
get post-traumatic stress syndrome.
There you go. Just see if you can hold your lunch then. But it's Doctor Strange. As of right now, it is playing. Opening this weekend. It's already garnered. Looks like it's going to close out at an 80 million plus weekend. A very, very strong start. Believe it's well ahead of the Thor, and also the Captain America and the Ant-Man initial box office return. So that's a very strong indication indeed. It's already will go over $200 million worldwide already, because of a advanced market internationally. It's already done $150 million from there. So that's very, very promising start indeed. Because I know, just like Ant-Man, everybody was unsure of exactly people's knowledge, people's familiarity with the character, and they're just trusting and putting their faith and trust in Marvel and Disney. Do you get a sense that's what casual audiences are doing? Yeah.
It's they're just kind of along for the ride, so they don't really have a choice. But so far, their choices have been okay.
What if they had what if it had been slapped with a DC label? I'm sorry, Diane. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Marvel's got a formula that works. we can bash it all we want when it comes to their trademark villains, but it's a formula. It works. It gets them the money. It gets them the people, and they have a very distinct sound and a deep, distinct voice when it comes to the movie world that clearly resonates with people.
Their movies all seem watchable. They don't leave, even when we talked about last week, some of my choices that were not as high up on the list that I put out on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com that were not as high up. Even those movies, though, are watched from, pretty watchable when they come on the television, so that I know some of the DC counterparts, they don't hold up as well. And I begs the question again, I was saying earlier, do you think if a DC label had been slapped on it, do you think it would garner the same type of success?
I think if a DC label was slapped on it, you'd have to have a bunch of antidepressants after the movie. I don't think that they would make a movie like this. Their movies are dark. There's not as much comedy in a DC movie, the Marvel movie. It's very much, it's a brighter universe than you have in DC.
Josh?
About to debate with me on this.
No, I mean DC, people are a lot more critical of DC movies. So I feel like if Doctor Strange had a DC label on it, people would have found something wrong with it. They would have wanted to have something wrong with it.
But we're critical of DC because they deserve it. That's why they give us so much to want to criticize. I love Wonder Woman. I love Batman. Christopher Nolan's Batman, even though, the only criticism I could give it was the really rough voice, which was just funny. It was part of it. But the new stuff that they've come out with is just the fun out of it. I'm looking forward to the new Wonder Woman, but I lose all love.
Well, it seems like DC's entries into their universe, and as of late, with Man of Steel moving forward, have made those movies what they've done is they've made it kind of cool for people to say it's okay to make fun of DC. We'll watch it. The movies garner money. Let's not argue the fact that all three of their latest movies, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, and Batman versus Superman, all made over $600 million worldwide, and then some. But you're right, Diana, on the dark tone. And keeping that dark tone, which is funny because the DC movies of the 70s and 80s were not so dark. They were very bright. They were very campy. They were exact opposite of what the Nolan movies eventually turned out to be. But I think right now it became kind of cool. In fact, us on this show, we were very harsh on Suicide Squad and also as well. BVS especially because maybe it didn't meet up to our expectations, but it seemed almost like it became really cool to go ahead and bash DC films. But okay, fair enough right there. But yes, it almost became very cool to bash DC films. So Josh, your points exactly on Mark as far as DC is concerned. Maybe they are getting a bad break on it, but Wonder Woman, the latest trailer that came out recently, that is very strong. It looks like it's going to be a very strong entity, and maybe attitudes will change because I think the Wonder Woman movie does look like a definite change in direction for Warner Brothers, and they might actually take some steps in a positive direction. Do you think so, Josh?
Sorry, my dog's barking.
Well, then I'll tell you what. You mute it, and then I'll ask Diana because I think she has a lot to say on the Wonder Woman as well. I was going to reverse order, but I'll reverse order now. So, Diana, what are your thoughts on the new Wonder Woman movie coming up? Do you think this is going to be a positive direction for the DC universe?
I think it is. I think it's going to be a positive direction for movies in general, not just DC. You have the strong female action lead that you don't really see that often outside of the zombie apocalypse genres, really. And I'm just gonna love it because I love historical fiction, and it's historical fiction meets superheroes, so it's like the best of both worlds for me, which is just, I'm gonna be in heaven.
It looks very well done. It looks like it's very simplistic as far as the storyline is concerned, but it looks very grand in scope. It looks very, dealing with the World War I issue, dealing with the bigger issues there, and the questions remain, because we already know some of the answers from BVS. And it's how did she, why did she go away for all these years? So I think one of the reasons why, one of the great anticipations of it, what exactly are the events that caused her to go back into hiding?
Exactly, and what this is, speaking of DC's embracement of it being dark, it's the perfect setting for DC for World War I, where it's a war. It shouldn't be bright and poppy. It should be dark and mellow. And I love the fact that they're putting it in there and to expand the Wonder Woman universe. And it's going to take it from the old school setting, the Linda Carter setting, which is fantastic in its own right. But they'll bring it up into something a little bit more mature, I think.
And I think that's what the modern audience is expecting now with the DC universe, because I don't think it can go back to that campy realm of the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s for the DC films are concerned. Josh, what are your thoughts on the Wonder Woman trailer? If you get a chance to see it, and then what are your thoughts as far as where this series of films for the DC universe can go? Provided they get everything worked out with the Flash, of course, because they lost a director recently. So who knows where that's going to go from there after Justice League.
I did see the trailer and it looks great. It looks epic. Like I'm seeing a lot of kind of like 300 style vibe to it, with the same large scope of Batman versus Superman, but hopefully a little better written.
Less limbs being chopped off, maybe.
Less limbs being. I mean, I don't know. Did you ever watch the extended cut of Batman vs Superman? It kind of changed the game a little bit.
Indeed, it did. But that was a different story there. I think if you want to maintain that PG-13 rating, you can't really go as far as Gerard Butler did in 300.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think you mentioned the Flash. I think that DC, their biggest downfall is the fact that their people, their higher ups, want to keep such a grasp on these heroes that a lot of them. My fear is that a lot of them don't actually read the comic books, but they want to do. They're doing research into what audiences like to see, what entertains, and they put it into these movies and then they execute it wrong, and that's the problem. I think that's why all these directors keep walking away from these movies.
Well,
and you've got to be really careful with the Flash too, because it's also a television series. So you've got this whole backstory already. You've got this fan base for Flash, so they're going to come in. Television fans are going to come into the movie, I think, expecting it to be at least somewhat similar to the feel of the movie. They're going to be compared, so they're going to have to be careful on that.
Right, because.
Okay, Josh, your thoughts.
Yeah, because they said that the DC movies and the television shows exist in a multiverse, so they're connected, but they're not connected. But at the same time, you can't take the dark tone of Batman and put it into a movie like The Flash, because The Flash is funny. He's supposed to be funny. He's quick-witted, and that he's a more lighthearted character. So that I'm really interested to see how they go forward with that.
And isn't that why the director ended up leaving? From what I heard, I only heard a little bit about why he ended up leaving. They weren't going in the direction that he wanted to go, and I think he wanted to go more of that campy, comedic direction versus
the beloved, differences. Creative. The beloved created differences that the creative differences that seem to be always the excuse, which ironically was the same excuse for. That's just what I was going to say. Tim Miller and departing. But it's funny, Diana and Josh, how we are getting different vibes, because we see now Flash with the director leaving because of creative differences in a bit of a quandary now and a very uncertain future. Yet we do not hold that same type of concern because of Deadpool 2, because Ryan Reynolds is still obviously attached to the project and it's pretty much his baby. Josh, your thoughts on that and why there's such a difference of opinion?
As far as Deadpool goes,
Well, because both have lost their directors in a matter of days between each other, but yet nobody seems to be concerned that this happened in Deadpool 2. But while Flash, it's okay. Well, Flash is pretty much going to be kicked to the curb.
right. I Deadpool without Tim Miller worries me, to be completely honest with you. I think that Tim Miller was the only person to keep Ryan Reynolds from going from that R rating up to whatever comes next. With Tim Miller gone, because Ryan Reynolds, he's all about dick and fart jokes like that. I mean, that's his calling card. And whereas Tim Miller wanted to progress the story, he wanted to take Deadpool and show what's cool about Deadpool, show us this universe he exists in, show us how he coincides with all these other great X-Men characters. But my concern is that Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to move beyond the raunchiness of Deadpool into, give him a little more character development. I think he's stuck on what made the first movie, what audiences liked about the first movie. It's like The Hangover.
Well, you saw where it went. People didn't actually like Hangover 2 or Hangover 3, but Hangover 2 was a massive economic success, and Hangover 3, while it wasn't the same success as the first two, still was I believe was the top grossing comedy of that year. I'm not 100% on that, but it was still a high gross comedy, well over $100 million, worldwide and whatnot. But Diana,
But what you take into account with Hangover is how much of that money it was people going in to the movie theater when it first opened, expecting it to be a build-up or something similar to the first one, and then being let down. Because then, what were the numbers the second, third, or fourth week? Was it still a number one for months on end?
No.
Or
And,
drop right off?
Yeah, it
You
dropped
gotta
off a
take that
cliff. You're right on
into
that.
consideration.
So what are your concerns, Diana, do you share the same concerns with Josh in regards to, both The Flash and Deadpool 2 in regards to their future, because both have lost their directors over the creative difference?
I didn't have those fears about Deadpool until Josh started bringing them up. I was thinking, okay, Ryan Reynolds is still going to be involved, and it's still going to have that same feel. But now, when he brought up all those things, I'm like, crap, is the story going to go to hell now? So yeah, now I'm just about as afraid as Josh is. So thanks, Josh.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, are you going to get Van Wilder, or are you going to get Waiting?
Oh, jeez.
Although Waiting, I liked Waiting. I'm sorry.
Oh, I did too.
Waiting was funny.
My best friend is a lot like the waitress that shows off under her skirt, to put it nicely. So I can relate to that movie quite a bit.
Fair enough, indeed. So that's enough of Ryan Reynolds' raunchiness for right now. But if you have an opinion and thoughts on, obviously the Doctor Strange movie, which we would love to hear from you, or also as well the issues with Deadpool 2, the upcoming Flash movie, your thoughts on the Wonder Woman trailer that just came out, or anything on the pop culture or film scene, just give us a shout out. We're available, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, at Pop Culture Cosmo, because Twitter won't give us that final S, at Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter, or you can email us, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But one final word, Josh, you recommend the film Doctor Strange to everybody out there, Marvel and non-Marvel fans alike?
I sure do. It's a great film. Honestly, if it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, if you want to go and just be entertained, you don't want to have to have all this backstory, go and see it. It's a perfect movie for that. I mean, you can even take the kids too. It's nice and clean, nothing sexual, no bad word. I mean, maybe there are a couple bad words, but it's worth watching.
Fair enough indeed. And so it looks like it's going to be a big win again for Marvel as we head even closer to the Infinity Wars, which, I just cannot wait. As a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, I just cannot wait for that film to come on the air. But that's the problem. Our anticipation for that film grows bigger and bigger by the day, and I'm just hoping that it will meet those expectations, because for a lot of people, they will be grand indeed. I know the three of us here will have the huge expectations for that film once it finally comes out, and I'm just hoping it will at least try to do what it can to meet them, because of all that's been expected of that. But it's Doctor Strange. It's hitting big. It's out in theaters, and it's got a big thumbs up. Josh, can we expect some type of review on the site going forward, or?
Yes, this week sometime is my goal.
Sounds good, and that'll be on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, along with all the other great things that are out there. I'm throwing up here in the next few days for all those people who are interested in Black Friday and all the ads that are out there. Like I mentioned earlier, Black Friday is coming up, the holiday season shopping guide. I'm going to send out and put the latest and greatest as far as who is doing what ads of all the big names, or as many big names as I can get accrued into one place, so that you can go and take a look at all the ads, or you can get all the latest information on what's going to be available this Black Friday season and also this holiday season in general. So when we come back, we're going to be talking some remasters, and exactly, do we like them? Do we not like them? Which are the best, and which are some games that we would like to see in a remastered form? Coming up right after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. All right. There you go. Got to get the cheap plug for Skyrim there. There you go. Oh my gosh, that's another 150 hours of your life sucked out.
Yep.
Pretty much. All right. We're going to come back here in 3. And we're back here at Pop Culture Cosmos. Just want to give some love to all the great entities and the great people that are out there that gives us a hand each and every week in helping create the Pop Culture Cosmos. Our good friend Rob McCallum, check out his site, robmccallumfilms.com, for all the latest info on all of his projects that are available. The He-Man documentary, Box Art, the docuseries, the Kitty documentary, and all the other great stuff that he has available, and even some things like Nintendo Quest, the hit documentary from last year, and the Nintendo Quest Power Tour, which you can download and view today. It's robmccallumfilms.com. It's a great place to go from our good friend Rob McCallum. Retro City Games, if you are in the Southern Nevada area, or if you want to just have a question on the world of gaming, as far as if they have something available, what price it may be at, check out Retro City Games on Facebook. Or if you are in the Las Vegas and Henderson area, Southern Nevada, check them out. They're available. Retro City Games in Henderson. Or if you want to just send them a message, because they get dozens and dozens and dozens each day of messages, people asking, and they are very courteous and very receptive to answering all those questions. It is Retro City Games on Facebook. Nicole and Doug are awesome and trying to do what they can to make sure that they stay at the center of the gaming universe. Speaking of gaming, there's also our good friends at Mario Party Wars. Good friends, Mario Party Wars. Check them out, Mario Party Wars at facebook.com. See all their stuff on Twitch, and they get together and they play not only just Mario Party itself, but also they have a lot of stuff that goes on with Overwatch, board gaming. They keep up to date on that. And if you're looking for a great place to go for not just niche gaming, but a really fun gaming scene, check out Mario Party Wars at Facebook. And least I not forget, the lovely ladies, again, from Wine, Women, and Words. Their podcast is available on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Wine, Women, and Words. It's a great podcast. Check it out. They have special guest authors. They've got Josh coming up in the near future, so hopefully all goes well. There's a great podcast. Hear Michelle and Diana each and every week talking about the literary world in Wine, Women, and Words. And for the latest in gaming news and information, it's GameSource on Facebook. Check it out, GameSource on Facebook and at GameSource on Twitter. We post hundreds of articles each and every week as far as from the video game scene, news and information, where you need to go. Check out GameSource on Facebook and at GameSource on Twitter. So we're talking about gaming. And since we all are gamers and we love gaming, one of the things that has, I don't want to say it's new, but it's highly popularized since the new wave of consoles has come in. Let's talk about remasters, HD makeups, HD redefinitions, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about Is there too many of them? Is there not enough of them? What games are, that you really think are really have been a good additions as far as a remaster is concerned? What were really some poor renditions? And what are some games that you would like to see down the road in the near future, hopefully being remade? So I will start the conversation with Diana. And Diana, I know there's been a lot of hearsay back and forth. For all intents and purposes, we all know what it is. It's a lot of they could tell these publishers and whatnot, the development studios. They can all tell you it's because they love the games and they love the gamers that play them, and they do this as fan service. It's a cash grab. Shh.
Oh, it totally is.
But
I just think Spaceballs with all this stuff. It's merchandising.
yes, but as someone who does like the occasional remaster, I don't mind. But your thoughts, Diana, on exactly what these remasters have meant to you on these new gaming platforms?
Well, a lot of them is just how can we make more money? How can we make money off of people that there's something that they already like? I think it's a product of the Xbox One not being backwards compatible. People wanting to play the games on the Xbox One and they can't, so they remaster them, bring them over to the so that people can play them on the Xbox One. I think isn't the PS4 backwards compatible or no?
Oh,
I'm not a PS player, so
that's a dicey story. Oh, somebody's got a
okay. I'll just back away from that then.
Sorry. There's an okay. Well, no, there's an echo.
Okay.
Sorry. Am I still echoing? Yes, I'm still echoing. Is it my mic? Okay. A little better. Well, no, it's a dicey story in that there is a backwards compatibility, but it deals with the. Oh, somebody's still echoing.
It's two Geralds.
Okay. Uh-oh. What happened? This will sound much better in post. Uh-oh. Is it Diana? Can you hit mute for a second? I'm sorry. Oh, now it works.
Sure.
Oh, thought it. Is that it? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was okay. Much better. Let's see if we can wing with that now. With the PlayStation service, there is a PlayStation Now, which you can buy on a monthly basis, which gives you access to hundreds of PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games that have not really been rendered that much better. But a lot of the core games and the key games have not been added in there. So a lot of people are not exactly thrilled with the PlayStation Now concept. They think it's too pricey and they don't get enough out of it. I know that a lot of the remasters that have also gone to the Xbox One also have come to the PlayStation 4. So, if let's say like Josh had his Skyrim, he's got a Skyrim that he just got recently. That is also available on the PlayStation 4. Very similar as far as the output is concerned. So I think that's probably the best way I can say it. They do have a somewhat of a backwards compatibility, but of course, again, it's not free and you have to pay for it. So, but Diana, your thoughts again on exactly everything going on with remasters, what you like, maybe what you don't like, and some of the titles that you'd like to see coming.
The remastering of Tomb Raider. That right now happens to be my absolute favorite. I love what they're doing with it. From where it was before and when they brought it back for Xbox One. I think that was one of the things that really sold me on wanting to get the Xbox One was because I had to play that game. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact like Borderlands, they're coming out with another one of those. And that's another, yeah, I love that game. That's a great game. And I just, those are ones that I love because you can add in more chapters and they seem to have left the stories off in those games where they're easy to pick up. The other ones, it's kind of like, it's like with the movies where they've been done before. Do you really need to remaster them? Like Saints Row. I might step on some toes, but Halo, do we really need another Halo? Apparently this is going to be isn't it like Sergeant Master's story or something like that they're going to be getting into?
Well, they did the Master Chief collection, and that they remastered. I think all but one of they remastered 1, 2, and I think touched up 3 and 4 in certain aspects to make an entire one collection for the Xbox One. And obviously upon launch, I'm sure you probably heard all the issues as far as from a multiplayer standpoint with the game. And Josh and I had recently talked about how they've a year plus later, they have fixed a lot of those elements. But by the time that's the case, a lot of the people that were playing in the community have left. So, but you're right. Maybe it wasn't exactly needed, but in my case, for me, I bought the Master Collection, and now that I go back to it, it's a much better experience. But it reminds me of better times for Halo because of the mixed signals I got from Halo 5. I know the Uncharted collection for me is also a high point because I love the Uncharted series so much. I know that it's not exactly a got to have, but if you have not played the Uncharted series before Uncharted 4, I highly recommend it because from a storytelling standpoint, there is no better, gameplay video game series out there that tells better stories than the Uncharted series. The Last of Us, I know The Last of Us came late in the console series, but I know The Last of Us Remastered, which just got recently upgraded to a PS4 Pro status. So when that comes out, next week, and the PS4 Pros, that's going to be coming out very soon. Like I said, that will be also something that I may recommend to people if they can get it at a very discounted price, because The Last of Us always stands out. It looks even better now. Josh, outside of that, are there some recent developments? You recently got your hands on Skyrim, like I said. So what are your thoughts on some of the remasters that are out there? And is it something that maybe somebody might want to look more into as far as getting more of their library added? Or is it something that, like I said, it's just, as Diana and I both agreed upon, that they're both cash grabs and it's really not worth their money?
First of all, when we were talking about Halo, it's funny. I asked people about the Master Chief Collection. I say, what do you like? Do you really care that the graphics are upgraded? And a lot of them say, no, I like it because I don't have to keep getting up to change the disc to play something else. So, but as far as remasters go, I'm kind of torn on it. I think that myself, like so many other people, we like the idea of being able to play something in HD. Like for me, like Skyrim, when I was done playing, I was like, that game just totally ruined my life. And then I heard they're making a remaster. I'm like, okay, that might be something I want to play. But it's really, once you get past the nostalgia, eventually you stop noticing how good the upgraded graphics are, and then it's just, it's the same game you played before, the same frustration, the same holes in the wall from the controller you threw at it, and it's really just it's the same exact thing that you played before, just all the frustration that comes with it. So yeah, exactly. It's the controllers cost me more money than the video game. Yeah, there are some HD remasters I guess I wouldn't mind playing, like Mass Effect, but as far as like all these new ones are coming out, like the Assassin's Creed 2, the Ezio collection, I like those games, but not enough to go play them again. Same thing with like Devil May Cry, BioShock, all these games. I wouldn't, if they're gonna do these remasters, make them cheaper. Like I don't want to pay $60 for something that I can go buy all 3 of the originals for like $10 a pop. That's my biggest thing with them.
I couldn't agree with you more on that, and I think this holiday, a lot of those remasters will be at a very much lower price. So I think now is the time that people may get interested in buying those, because I think that's going to be something a lot of retailers will go to as you see in the retailer ads, the Black Friday ads and the holiday ads of these games, certain set of games maybe at $15, at a $20 price tag or whatnot. And I think a lot of those remasters may fall in that category. Diana, Josh, and I both agreed on something which might be rare, that the Mass Effect would probably be the key #1 series for us that we would hope to be remade. After that, for me, it'd probably be the Left 4 Dead series. But your thoughts on a series that you would like to see remastered, and if you think this actually will, that your choice will actually come to fruition, you think it's going to be realistic for a company to go ahead and do such a thing on that particular title that you're looking at.
When it comes to the remasters, I don't particularly care if they're redone in HD format because, like Josh said, it's the same game over again. There's very few games. Once I'm finished with the game, I'm done with it. There's only two that I can think of that I've gone back and played, which is BioShock and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I played that like 2 or 3 times. But I would like, with that being said, though, I love BioShock. Absolutely love it. That was totally my game. Loved it to death. I would love to see that come back, whether it is, the remaster, which just sounds like they're going to do, or just I would love another chapter. Don't give me a remaster. Just give me another chapter in the story. I would really, really love that.
Well, the remasters are already out and available, and so like I said, I think that if you are looking for if you ever want to get back into it again, I think you will be finding it at an attractive price, because I think that's going to be one that retailers will be focusing on, because it came out, I believe, last month. Josh, am I correct on that?
Yeah, it's like October 12th or something like that.
Fair enough.
See, I haven't been paying attention to it, and I still have my Xbox that it came out on. So I still have it. I still have the game. So right now it's a matter of what's the point. Save the money, buy a new game that's coming out. I don't even want to spend the $10 to $15 on it being remade so I can play it on my Xbox One on the big TV. It's on the TV upstairs in the bedroom. Who cares? That's my real take on the Masters. Is I don't want to spend the money on it.
And I don't blame you for that at all. But I know one of the games that Josh doesn't like to talk about very much, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which just recently came out. A lot of people were actually more excited as far as the attachment on the special edition, which came out with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, a remastered version of it, which a lot of people were really going, gaga over, because they wanted to delve back into that world and that multiplayer because it tells such a great story. I think eventually it will be sold as a separate product. I think it's just going to take time for Activision to do it once the sales of Infinity Ward starts to dip and or maybe plateau, what have you. Is there a game outside the Mass Effect series you'd like to see remade, Josh? Like I said, Mass Effect for both of us, and I said of the Left 4 Dead series, I'd like to see that. Can always use a refreshing just because of the frame issues that it has, because of so much happening on screen at one time. But is there something that you would like to see maybe improved upon that from the past that you'd like to see? I know I talked to Doug at Retro City Games about games that he would like to see, and he mentioned Mass Effect as one of them as well, I believe.
I would like to see Dead Space remade. I don't necessarily know if I would play it, but I would really love to have the option of playing that series again, because it scared the crap out of me, and I loved every second of it.
That's actually an excellent choice, and yeah, I think that for a setting could be enhanced to the point where it might actually be attractive for a lot of people to buy, especially if they group it into 3, the whole entire series together, and be able to make it into a package that's people that avoided the series in the past may want to get at that point in time. So there are a lot of good choices. The remastered issue, it's a touchy issue with people that are, somewhat on the no fence, like Diana, and people like Josh, who are, actually proof is in the pudding right there, and he's got it sitting on his desk right there with Skyrim. There you go. He's holding it right there. He's on the other side, and me, who just wants to see good titles. But yes, I do like a remastered every now and then, because I don't keep my collections, my older games or whatnot. I if they have a tendency to gather dust, I kind of go ahead and trade them in with some value, mostly to Retro City Games. Give them a big shout out, because they always give fair prices, at least in my opinion. But they've always been good to me, so I usually just go ahead and if I ever want to delve back into those worlds, look for a better quality remaster. But that's just me. I know you guys and gals have got opinions out there, and if you do, please send us a shout out on Facebook, Pop Culture Cosmo, or also as well on Twitter, at Pop Culture Cosmos. We're there for you. If you really want to get a chance to talk to us as well, you can send us an email, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And when we return, we will close the show by talking about which gaming system might be having the best of times this holiday season and which one might be ending up the Grinch for the Yuletide season. Coming up right after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back here for our final segment in Pop Culture Cosmos. Once again, I'm Gerald Glassford, coming to you from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. If you get a chance, check us out every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. We're also available on the ESO Network. We truly, truly appreciate being on there. And the Tangent Bound Network, truly appreciate being on there as well. Thank you so much for allowing us be a part of your programming schedule. If you also get a chance, you can automatically download the show today, which is available on Stitcher, which is also available on Google Play, iTunes. You can subscribe to us there and leave us that wonderful 5-star rating. Hopefully, if you like us, we truly appreciate it and we truly value it. And we do say thank you when you do, or at least I'll try to. I'll do very much what I can to try to. And then also as well, you can catch us on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com or home at podcast.com. So our last deal right here with Diana Tierney of Wine, Women, and Words, the Triple W, and also as well, Mr. Josh Peterson, the man, the myth, the legend himself, and the auteur of Vendetta Dark. So I ask you both, what are your thoughts this holiday season? I have thought before on consoles that last year I thought Xbox One was really going to make out as far as a strong holiday season. And I thought they really had the edge on price. And I really thought people were going to go for price. But ultimately, the PlayStation 4 still came out, with its share of the margin and still won out until recently when Xbox One has overcome that issue in the past 3 months. Your thoughts now that the Xbox One S is now in the wild and the PS4 Pro at the time this airs will be just right on the doorstep of being released. So Diana, your thoughts on exactly which major console will be sold at a premium and why this holiday season?
I'm thinking that as much as I hate to say it, because I'm an Xbox girl, I think the PS4 Pro is going to win out. I mean, when I heard that the Xbox One S was coming out, I was like, really, another one already? I have my Xbox One. I still have a working Xbox 360. I'm not ready to trade out my Xbox One. I don't know if there's more in-depth gamers who might want to trade out their Xbox Ones, because we all pretty much bought the Xbox One after it came out. I don't know that many people who actually sat out and said, I don't know if I want to get it. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like it's too soon for another console.
Well, I know for me,
buddy.
Yes. Well, no, you're not. No, you're not at all. Because this fuddy-duddy here has the old Xbox One, and I don't see a need for me to upgrade as well until I get a 4K TV. And one thing, Grit, that yes, I will give the Xbox One S its props that it does have a 4K. It streams 4K, has a 4K Blu-ray player. It is thinner, it is quieter. That's great, and I appreciate that. But I really, like you said, I don't want to go ahead and have to spend something if I already have a working Xbox One until I get something that can support the quality that it can output at. So, but I know there's a lot of people that may not have an Xbox One. And I see the prices already coming in for Black Friday sales as low as $249, bundled with a lot of stuff in certain cases. So it might make it really attractive to get an Xbox One. So while you think the PS4 Pro might really go, and I agree with you, I think the PS4 Pro will sell, pretty strongly because people, are get fascinated with the latest and new technology. I think the Xbox One S, because of price issues, will come out very strongly as well and have their share of the marketplace as well. Josh, what are your thoughts on the console battle this holiday season?
Everybody keeps talking about 4K technology, and it's what people don't realize about gamers is that gamers, they don't really like, yeah, that stuff's cool, like maybe way down the line when 4K technology is not that new, but gamers can't afford this stuff. Like gamers really spend every penny they have on video games. I know this from experience because I do it. And why am I going to drop another $300-400 on an Xbox console when I don't have a 4K television? There's no point in that for me. So like that if the technology wasn't so new and more people had it, it would be, that would be a whole other matter in itself. I guess people just like the potential of being able to reach 4K somehow. But as far as like the consoles go, I think that PlayStation is going to win it out because, I'm an Xbox person too, but when you really look at the lineup of games that each of these systems has to offer, PlayStation 4 has so many more cool games, like not just out, but coming out. Like, yeah, like you said, Uncharted, that's something I would definitely be interested in playing. But you have Horizon, you have the Final Fantasy VII remake, you have I don't know, just more choices. Whereas the Xbox is relying solely on Gears of War, which was fantastic, and a failing Halo franchise. I just feel like they really need something more to pull gamers back towards Microsoft, because everything you can play on Sony, like the big games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, all that other stuff, they can play on both consoles. So there's not really a lot of driving factors there.
Tomb Raider's coming out this Christmas season too. We're gonna have the new Tomb Raider that's gonna pull in people for Xbox. But the other factor is the only people that I know that held off on getting the Xbox One was that backwards compatibility. That was such a huge deal for so many gamers that I knew that held off because it was like, well, I've got all these games, I'm not gonna be able to play them. Why should I get this new set? So maybe if the Xbox One S has the backwards compatibility built into it beyond just the Xbox One going into the 360, then maybe it can give it a little bit of a jump, but
well, you're right indeed, because Tomb Raider is coming out on the PlayStation 4 a year after it's released as exclusive Xbox One title. I think it's going to perform very well, perform very admirably. It obviously was a highly critically praised title when it came out on the Xbox One, and it's going to do the same when it comes out on the PlayStation 4, or when it's out on the PlayStation 4. But
well, the one that's coming out for Xbox is a whole new chapter in the story.
Oh, you're talking about the DLC that's
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be I think that's gonna be a big draw for Xbox.
But I know it's also included in the package for the PlayStation 4. I know the PlayStation 4 owners are getting the whole thing. So as a way to generate the sales for the PlayStation 4, because they were a year behind, they're looping all I believe they're looping all the DLC and the 20th anniversary stuff onto the PlayStation 4 version of it, obviously generate sales that they couldn't get when they didn't release it simultaneously 1 year ago. So I think the enhancements, and it's been talked about in the DLC that's coming out for Tomb Raider, are highly expected, because they are definitely welcome change. A welcome addition, I should say, to what is already a great game, and I look forward to it indeed, because the Tomb Raider series does have a lot of life left, and after I know people were worried of how they could improve upon the original reboot, and it looks like they did so in spades, and just looks forward to even a better series going forward. Josh, your thoughts, final thoughts on what's going on with the consoles as far as this holiday is concerned?
I think at the end of the day, it's going not just going to rely on who has the better lineup of games, but who has cheaper games. Like what are the sales? I can't really make any predictions till I see like who is selling what.
Fair enough indeed. So before we get out of here, I'm going to have you both do some plugs for your stuff, your projects coming up. Josh, I will start with you first off because I want to talk a little bit about Ghost Toasters. You notice I didn't send you my thoughts on it yet. It's because I wanted to share it with you right here on the radio, so to speak. Indeed. If everybody gets a chance, they can go to our page. Again, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. On the side is a special project, a series that Josh has done called Ghost Toasters. And right now up on there is episode 1 and also episode 2, parts 1 and part 2. And in particular, if you get a chance, check out, my favorite was episode 2, part 2, which I think ends right now, for the time being, the Ghost Toasters on a very strong note. So tell us a little bit more about Ghost Toasters and what people can expect from when they watch it.
What I love about it is that it is so stupid and it's so easy to make and it's so funny. Like it's so much fun to make and people watch it. So that's like as someone who creates things, you can't really ask for anything more than that. But honestly, it was just it started out as an idea I had. There's so many paranormal investigating shows on television and they're all really like kind of the same thing. It's like HD remasters, but there's a formula to it. So I took everything that is kind of dumb about them and I turned them into jokes. And that basically is the concept of Ghost Toasters.
Fair enough indeed. So if you get a chance, check it out on YouTube, Ghost Toasters, or just pop right over to our site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and it's right there on the sidebar where you can also find episodes of Wine, Women, and Words, and that leads us into Diana. Diana Tierney, what do you have going on with not only Wine, Women, and Words, but what do you want to go ahead and express to the fans out there and the listeners out there? What exactly is coming up on your schedule?
Well, with Wine, Women, and Words, we have a new book for the month. It's called The Melancholy Life of Annie Astor. And it's a really fun book. I recommend everybody checking out the book and joining in, reading along with us for our book of the month. At the end of the month, we will have the author, Scott Wilbanks, on the show with us to talk about the book. Michelle already has a line of questions for him, so it should be a fun evening. With Wine, Women, and Words, it's basically, normal people match up their wine with their food. Michelle and I match up our wines with our books. So we try to focus a little bit on the wine, a little bit on the literature, and talk about current things going on in literature and different topics. We have an episode, last Thursday's episode was Surviving the Holidays and books to help you survive your family during the holidays. So we've got a fun list of books for that. And then outside of Wine, Women, and Words, which we will be definitely doing your book coming up this spring, so we'll have to talk about that off air. And then outside of that, I also have a blog called Creating Her Story, which is at creatingherstory.wordpress.com, where it's all historical fiction all the time. And I do book reviews. I do bios on different women in history. I'm trying to keep up with it because this month is NaNoWriMo, National November Writers Month, which I am taking part in. So I am crazily writing as much as I can. I took a break for the show tonight because I had to give my fingers a rest. And so coming up in this month, I'm hoping to get I've got a couple book reviews lined up to go out. And I just did an interview with the Italian American Museum in Los Angeles, which is a new museum that opened up in August. So that should be coming up on my blog this month. And you can find me at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. My little page is called the Rebel Scout Chronicles, which is based on me becoming a Scout Trooper, because as of today, we have my Scout Trooper hard gear pieces on order. So I am going to be a member of the 501st before the year's out.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I don't know how Darth Vader himself would put it, Lord Vader. But congratulations indeed. As far as that would be, spoken of, I know that's something you had looked forward to since our first conversation. So I'm definitely happy for you as well on that.
Mhm.
So it's definitely something to look forward to, all the writing that you have coming up and on your various outlets on WordPress and also popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. But I do want to say, as far as I want to see how politically correct you can stay when you finally have Josh sit down and what wine is chosen for his new book.
You might have to go harder and make it a politically correct free zone.
Yes, because I like to know how to stay politically correct and find a wine that matches appropriately with the title of his upcoming book. Congratulations, Yusak.
I feel like a box wine might be in order. Something from really cheap from Target and a box variety.
Oh my gosh, $2.99. There you go, Josh.
I'm flattered.
You really should be.
So we will leave it at that. But once again, I want to thank you for listening, and we want to thank you for watching. So for Diana Tierney, Josh Peterson, and me, Gerald Glassford, we do again, like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's another beautiful day in paradise. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.